that going to work? Is that going to work? It's Saturday night. It's time to enjoy a ride. Welcome aboard. That's right. I think you can hear me. I'm pretty sure you can hear music and you can hear me and everything's working right. Welcome to Saturday night. We've turned up the radio. You guys are live in the crew.
Hello.
Hello, crew.
Hello. It's Saturday night. Hello, everyone.
The skies are cloudy.
It is all those things. The moon is, oh, God, the moon. Moon is so beautiful tonight. I don't know if it is where you are, but here it is just, smackaroo.
Well, I finally get to see it, but for the past few nights, it's been so cloudy, I didn't get to see the full moon at all.
Yeah, here too. But tonight, it was just beaming.
Does it feel close, James? Does it feel close?
Very close. Yeah.
Yes.
Right in my pocket. Yeah, right in my breast pocket. Right there. Right an inch below to the middle of my nipple. Right to the center of the solar plexus. But the lunar plexus. Where's the lunar plexus? Where is the lunar plexus?
Hey, whistle that one. Where's the lunar plexus?
It's on top of the solar plexus.
We need to figure this out.
The spinning disc.
Raku and Maku.
Lori would know of these things.
She would.
Yes.
Lori would know. Is it a bowl?
The lunar and the solar are connected in the solar plexus. You know, concave, convex.
Proof that prophecy. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Renee.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi, James.
Welcome to Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night cruise here. We're out cruising around in nice, cold evening air, enjoying the breeze.
Crispy.
Yeah, everything. Yes, it is crispy. I love how winter freezes everything. It puts it in this like your breath is seeable for a while. Your footsteps are seeable in the snow for a while. All the traces of what we do are just easier to see in the wintertime. And I kind of like that.
And it's quieter.
Yeah, it's quieter.
Well, even just the footprints that are left in the snow and how our footprints are so primal to us. Mm-hmm. You know, to see a print is amazing. Our cat, she was returned to her place of origin. So
Yeah.
she is buried in my yard now. But I keep saying like, oh, we returned, Lee. She returned, but we had these cute little footprints that somehow she was on some cat litter that maybe did something. Maybe the floor was wet, but we have little paw prints of her outside of her little cat little litter area. We're like, we can never lose this.
Yeah.
You know, it's just such a memory. So I think with the footprints in the snow, we just, you know, it's kind of that time when, you know, it's, you know, we're on the seeds are contemplating springing, but not yet. You know, we're not quite at the not at the quietest time. The winter solstice that is coming up.
That is.
We
Yes.
just started the hibernation.
I literally can't believe it's December, you guys. I can't believe it's December. How did it get to be December?
I don't know.
Well,
it's so bizarre.
First it was November.
I know. Oh my gosh.
And then it was like two steps
so
forward
fast.
and wait 15 minutes, right? That's what time does. It's like 2 steps forward, wait 30 days. No one will catch me. I move so slow. Yeah, it's a grand cycle indeed. It is.
You know, it's interesting we're talking about time right now because I just read an article. It was a study done, and I can't remember the guy's name, but apparently he went underground for 6 months, and the idea was trying to track time. And apparently, once he got down there, he contacted the outside world, right? His team, but they never told him what time it was or what time of day it was. He just told them when he got up, when he went to bed. Because he was in the cave and away from the sun, he ended up, his days typically turned into about 36-hour days that he was up, and he would sleep for 12 hours. And the big takeaway was that when he got out of there, and he was really ready to get out, he didn't think as much time had passed as actually had.
Right.
Like time felt way different to him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
36 and 12.
Yeah, right. That's a different cycle for sure. That's like a refrigerator time, you know? It's like,
so wait. Did he have like artificial light under there, or was he totally in dark?
No, he did have light with him, but he was isolated, and what he was separated from was sunlight, right? So he had no marker for what the natural rhythms of the day was, right?
Yep.
So and
there's internal clock's always internal mind's always slower than actual mind. In other words, all the times that we've traced this, where we've asked people to trace this guy is like way on the scale of slow, by the way. I've read a lot that it's like 24 and a half hours, like 25 and a half hours. I noticed myself, I'm amazed at how good I can tell what time it is. Like I can get up and I can be like, it's 7:13. And then I look at the watch and it's just like, it's like 7:17, you know, it doesn't want to give it to me. Yeah. You know, it can't go around like giving me laser vision because, you know, it knows I'll burn a hole through the cabinets and break shit. But, you know, it's close enough to where I'm always amazed at how, no matter how fucked up I am in the sense of, you know, you get in your creative angst of, you know, you're doing something and you just forget all whereabouts, and it's, you're like, yeah, it's probably like 4:17 in the afternoon. And then you look and it's like, you know, 4:24, and you're just like, well, look at that. So yeah, it's always, I think our imagination of time requires certain frames to imaginate it. And that process of imagining it takes longer, and we forget to factor that in. This is just a guess I have, though. So.
I have another question about this because I think I know what time it is because I get really bothered by being hungry. I wish I didn't have to get hungry because then I wouldn't know what time it is.
Yeah.
So do they do this thing by like hunger, like what you're hungry for? Because we used to travel across the world and go like China, and it would be like daytime is nighttime, so like breakfast time should be dinner time over there,
right?
Or vice versa. So I think it's breakfast when you want to eat dinner. So my body wanted to eat breakfast at dinner time, or vice versa.
Right. That could be.
So did they do a thing with food with that guy?
No, I didn't hear anything that wasn't mentioned in the article. As far as what they were talking about was just his sort of distinguishing his feeling of time. But when you mentioned going to China, I'm wondering, like with the jet lag and where we're, you know, how we might use our body gets regulated to a certain time zone. And this is still something fascinating to me when we think about the fact that on the opposite side of the world, it's daytime right now. You know what I'm saying? And
it's the next day.
Well, those guys could be lying. Those fuckers could be lying to us, though. Honestly, I'm just saying.
You know,
I'm just saying.
When you come back, you travel 24 hours and you didn't miss a day.
Yeah.
You come back on the same day that you left.
Superman did the same thing. He's actually
then you
Superman
lose a
did
day
this.
when you go there.
Yeah, I think Superman got Lois Lane pregnant, and he was like, "Oh God, I don't want to do that." And then he spun around the Earth really fast, and then he backed it up, and then he
that
sort
was the
of was like,
day after pill.
he was like, "This is exactly, yeah." He was loving that. He was like, "Man, I have got the secret to all things now. This is great."
He's like, yeah, I can
It's like
turn back
Groundhog
time.
Day, right? It's like Groundhog Day for superheroes, right?
Right.
Wait, if I could turn back time. Yeah.
You know, the most interesting point, though, is where's the date line there between Alaska and Russia, where you're basically experiencing the same time, but it's one day. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, right. Like if you step 100 yards that way, well, it's yesterday. Now it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the new Z has something to do with that, right? Because it's the new Z, man.
New Z.
It's the new Z, because New Zealand, it's like, this is the way you're zooming out. You're zooming into this other, like, look, here's the seam, and you got tomorrow and you got today. And these guys kiss right here. And you just gotta deal with it. Everyone except Arizona. Arizona's just like, hey, you guys, take your daylight savings time and shove it, man. We are rock solid here in the land of Tolkien.
Makes sense. Arizona would be like that.
It does.
Makes sense.
They got the only swastika in the entire country, just like right there. And
Are they Zunies?
And that's the ancient swastika too. There's the old Hopi crosses also there, and it's fascinating how it works there. What even is time, man? Time's cool.
Time's weird.
It's fascinating. It signifies a clock, and the clock turns. You know what I mean? It would be the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and the cross there, and then you get the momentum as the wheel twists. So there's the fixed stars. So that's the significance of that. Yes, we want to see the wheel turn, as we expand our consciousness, everybody, like superheroes.
Yeah, it's like happy days.
When you're in a fixed point, Renee, I can see that because, like, let's say we're looking at the sky and tracking the stars, but going back to sort of the international date line, someone on either side of that tracking the stars, because of the way we count the days, they would have to be a day off, but they're actually looking at the same sky, right? Like you would think they'd be tracking the same time as far as stars, but there's some sort of arbitrary designation in that.
Well, the Southern Cross is never seen in the Northern Hemisphere. So there's some stars that never show up in the Northern, and I think it's the same in the Southern,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course, I was thinking in terms of like the latitudes, east and west, as far as across where the international date line is, as far as that goes. But just that's always been a fascinating thing to me, just as far as like, and I guess that probably relates to the whole idea of time dilation, right? Supposedly, if you're moving, the faster you're moving, the more time slows down.
Yeah, you could also say that the more frames that you render, the more time feels like it is slowing down. So, if you're like, let's say that you've got a video game and it's trying to keep your video card nice and cool, it's going to run at 24 frames per second. But then you get into combat mode, it's going to jump up to 120 frames per second, and it's going to get really hot. It's going to cook. It's painting pictures, every 120 pictures it's showing you, because it thinks that precision will help you stay alive. So we go into that. Our phonological loop goes into this hyper mode where more power is allocated to desktop rendering, to rendering simulations of the future past. It's future past because, keep in mind, you're actually living in the past. So you're kind of broadcasting through this past portal into the future. It's so confusing. I don't even know how we're able to pull it all together. But then when you enter into fight or flight, when you become dilated, because you can become dilated when you're relaxed too. It's you can get there both ways. But if you change from 24 frames a second to 200 frames a second, it's going to seem like it's not even accurate to say it's going to seem like. It actually is. Time is thicker there, isn't it? It's thicker because there's more frames to reference, and just the bulk of the folder with all the images inside of it is a heavier time. It burns more calories. It requires more keratin, so your fingernails grow longer when you're in creative endeavors or when you're in desperation endeavors to survive too. If you're thinking like crazy, you're probably noticing that your hair grows faster and your nails grow longer. And I think it has something to do with this time dilation, because we're actually just rendering more frames. And maybe the keratin itself is almost like a record keeper, you know, like a Thothian sort of way of like, well, look, I got to write this data somewhere. Like, you did see this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know?
It's like a printout.
Yeah, so it's got to go somewhere. So I'm going to print it to your fingernails and to your hair.
Yeah, they say like in the Native, Americans, if like it was you cutting off my memory if you cut my hair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like memory. I was the research on the Cozy Rev. Have you guys know that scientist?
Cozy Rev.
I haven't seen it.
Cozy Rev. So if you kind of AI it, Google it or whatever,
Sure.
Cozy Rev's mirror. And it was like this physics experiment. And it's like that rendering. So it's really like the way that we're living in this simulation, you can change the rendering speed by getting into this mirror.
Yeah, I got you.
And it's really interesting because it was like, I think it's like airship time, it was 1800s when all this stuff, this science was coming out, this like, what really is rendering?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're rendering this reality, right? And that Cozy Rev was a physicist. I think he's from Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be interesting to like, I don't know, look that up. Anyone that's listening, kind of look it up, because time is definitely rendered in certain frames per second. And, we're collapsing reality by, what we have available to observe.
Now, would you say there's a correlation to this? Sorry, I was going to say a correlation to the fact that we've been talking about over time that it seems like time is speeding up, right? That if you go back 100 years ago, life was slower, but by the same context, they weren't rendering to such a high fidelity that you could suggest we are now.
Yeah, like going to the time wave of like McKenna's time wave thing about the I Ching and stuff, and that this novelty was getting like, like time is speeding up, which is more novel. It's just there's so much more stimulation that has to be writing more information. We're writing in our DNA or whatever more information. It's just faster.
Well, another aspect of time dilation is that as you grow older, from the very first frame that you store, the second frame that you store feels like there's a vastness between only two memories. But then once you have 16 trillion memories, the dilation between just the amount in your stack does change. And so it does seem like we're speeding up through time, because we have more frames in our folder. And so each one of them counts a little bit less in the sense of what was already there. And so it's sort of like a trick of math. This is actually an issue when it comes to predicting pixel accuracy, like face detection, corner detection, that you run a persist pattern and you have to watch the persistence of something over time. You're not looking for a corner, like an eyeball has corners in it, believe it or not. You're not looking for a corner, you're looking for a persistence of a corner over time. And so all reality is technically a dilation of several frames of recordings that have been lumped together and have been given meaning by you as the fucking observer. I swear to you. This is really all that reality. So every reality is technically a collection of your memory states that you've experienced something throughout your entire life. That's the only access you ever have to reality, which means the access to your reality changes the FPS, the frames per second, depending on your mental state, your digestive state. Not only that, but your ability to saturate the memory changes the more frames that you store, your highs and lows, which I think McKenna was discussing. Mm-hmm. The idea of you're constantly having to look back. Is this more novel than anything else? Mm-hmm. That's a much harder equation. when you have two pictures, it's easy, but you're like, hey, is this picture different than 17 trillion, billion, gazillion, fucking million pictures? And you're like, hang on, let me check.
Perhaps that's why we need
I
AI.
said, hang on, I'm checking. Jeez, guys, there's a lot of pictures over here, and this microfiche is only so efficient. Okay, this is actually not very novel. You're welcome.
I think you need to go to the mall.
Exactly. Do you want Cinnabon? That would be novel. If you were to bring a Cinnabon in here, I could look these up for you with more pizzazz. Oh, pistachio. Oh God, pistachio. There's some novelty. Yeah. So see, and I think the novelty really is more about what we even call reality. To be honest with you, not necessarily novelty, newness, but the pattern, the fractal. A paisley is a perfect example of this. A paisley is a fashionable shape, right? It's a fashion shape. Looks sort of like a tear, like a fractal
It's
tear.
like the Mendelbrot thing, whatever that.
Yeah, it's like a Mandelbrot. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a tear-shaped Mandelbrot, and but that paisley has a stamp. If you think about it, you feel a certain way when you are exposed to a paisley. There's just certain things that come along with that. It puts you in a certain mindset, and so the dilation of all of these frames has the same kind of caliber. You end up losing your novelty as a baby. If you think about how novel every moment's like, oh my God, here comes a breath.
Right.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wait, I'm going to exhale. Wait. Hold it. Oh my God, God. Did you see that? Wait, we're going to do it again. And now you've had, your 16 trillion breaths, and it's.
Would you say that's why novelty is what draws the focus of attention, right?
Yeah, I would think that this is what breeds the newness. The only proof that that you are moving through time, Brad, would be that you're detecting things that are novel. The newness. Think about it. What if your world? Holy shit, guys! What if your world just never changed? What if you were here and you were conscious, but you couldn't move your head?
I feel like jail.
Yeah, and every single thing would stay the same. But think about if every single thing remained the same, no breath, no pulse, no time, no wind, no weather, you would not actually become conscious. What I'm getting at is it could be that novelty is the engine of time but more importantly, conscious life. That if we were not changing, we would become invisible, which means there are those that are in a phase. This is why I think when you talk about reptilian stuff, this is what's cool. This is the one part I think is super. There's a lot of stuff's cool, but this one part I think you'll find is really cool. Think about this. If you are phased so slow that you never ever change, you would be invisible in this world. Like the invisible man is the man that never changes. That there's never any kind of evidence. No one's ever experienced that he's there, which means that they remain invisible. It's a fascinating way to think about how reality would work, because it gives you the idea that rocks themselves could be conscious, that rocks themselves are simply just moving in this phased way.
Really slow.
But their polarity is such that we can still see them. But I hope you can imagine that the polarity would also exist to where you could not see these things too, because they're not processing any change at all that we can fathom in our lifetime, I should say.
But what if you get so that's the one spectrum, but what if you get on the other spectrum? Because I feel like I'm getting more invisible. So I think the resonance of a rock is like maybe a lower frequency or lower frequency. Then you go to a higher frequency. Then you're in what is that Marvel character that goes like zip, zip? What's that guy?
Nightcrawler. I think that's his name.
I don't know. There was a whole thing on him and how he had all those different lives because he was zipping around in time. He was the Time Lord. I was like, what if that starts happening? Yeah. The Flash.
Isn't that what our imagination is doing?
Yeah.
And aren't we just simply, if we could imagine, what if we could imagine someone else? We imagine a different situation, and we convinced all of ourselves to imaginate the same place, you just invented a transport beam. You just partically beamed yourself into a new universe, didn't you? And just like in Star Trek, and it's only because you cellular. Oh my God, this is how it works.
Then we're teleporting.
This is how teleporters work.
Yeah.
You convince all the cells to hallucinate that they are down on the planet. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
Saturnalia.
That's right.
Saturnalia with no booze. It's just for booze. And then we just cruise.
The no booze cruise.
No booze cruise.
The no booze cruise.
You can't do the Saturnalia. You'll fall off the rails, man.
Yeah.
No booze cruises or no booze cruises.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that today. Like, that'd be fun. But we rail across the world because everybody has their different rides, so it's a wave, around the world. All over it's such a
waving at the world, baby.
Mm-hmm.
If we did that, I don't think time would exist.
I mean, it probably would. I mean, if it, again, the way we measure time,
seasons would still come.
Well, if you have to go by the speed of light, then you would have to travel. It would have to take this enormous amount of time. So then you would have to wait 12 hours. It's the other side of it, But if you had this teleporting, it would be,
Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Right?
I like it.
I just teleport to noon, high noon, everywhere I go. But as we're talking about the fact that what was it? What we're talking about things that don't move. Isn't that another fascinating thing? Because I was talking about generations earlier, and how just that as we move through generations, we all grow older, how just the dynamics that shift. That isn't that one of the things that like the youth is always coming up, and for them it's brand new. Like we're talking about babies, right? So for them the world is brand new. But those of us that have been here for some time, it's not brand new anymore. So as we get older, we become, like you're mentioning, right, Lori? We start to have that feeling of becoming more invisible because do you get what I'm saying though? Because the world, where it's moving at is always at the youth. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's where the novelty is.
They say the new children that are coming in right now, they have past crystal, whatever the Gen Z, X, Y, Z, I don't know, wherever we're in, but we're in 3i Atlas kids. Babies coming in with 3i Atlas consciousness. Fantastic. Right? I mean, you just don't know. They could just be coming in, James, and they wouldn't even have that baby, maybe they're coming in with full consciousness and they just don't.
Well, yeah, it makes me think about it yet. Yeah, it makes me think about clones, and if you end up on the same DNA antenna, then you end up with memories that have already been there that are recorded, and so we as it's so hard, it's so simple. It was right in front of us the whole time, but we really are everlasting.
Yep.
Because of our reproductive magic that we practice. Mm-hmm. We practice the magic of reproduction, which allows us to live forever. And the way we live forever is that we have the ability to erase a chalkboard and still remain in the universe. This is pretty powerful. It's a way of handing a sandbox over from one programmer to another, a hard drive over from one person to another. And so the more we get better at this, I think the more we start to play with the code more. We're playing with our genetic code more. Not just the mRNA vaccines, not just the fact that we have a genome now, not just the fact that we can look at the protein chains and go, oh, wow, look at this. You want more freckles? Oh, my God, look at that. You got more freckles. You're starting to realize that all these things they're not hackable through science. They're just hackable through life. That everything you do ends up hacking your system to become a little bit more either machismo or sadistic or creative or successful or psychopathic or ruthless or softer or more forgiving. All these things are just us programming our code through angst and shame and love and desire. And the only way we'd be able to do that is to use time as some sort of like record keeping so that we can remember our footprint. Well, here's where I was, so now I can go here. Here's where I was, so now I can go here. Here's where I was, so now I can go here. Like that's the only sort of like a itsy bitsy spider. If you remember, you take your thumb and your pinky, and then you attach your other thumb and your other pinky, and then your other thumb and your other pinky. And that this would be how you would die and be reborn, die and be reborn, die and be reborn through the same life, but still have a fresh chalkboard. And ultimately, we need that fresh chalkboard. Ultimately, I think ultimately it gets, I don't think we're supposed to live longer than we are. I think that if we live for 300 years, I think it would really fundamentally change not just the fabric of humanity, but even the quality of how we see things. I'm not saying it would be impossible or that we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that
I get you.
It may not necessarily be what we want. It might actually be, especially if you consider the war between, so typically Nazis are going to be more traditional, right? I mean, they just are. Typically they're going to be more like, look, we have to go back to the roots. That's roots would be what was there before. And what was there before would be more of the past. So think about if you were living 300 years, how, God, like the boomer culture now would be just the Generation Z. And the real boomers would actually be people born in like the 40s. Like World War II fuckers would be like, let's determine policy now for the rest for the rest of the world. You know, again, I'm not saying it's not impossible, but it's like you can imagine it. That really would change so much. Even the prospect of dating, even the idea of finding a girlfriend, knowing that your puberty now is like 14 times longer or 7 times longer or even 3 times longer. You know, there's all that Runyon. The Grunion run becomes sort of a slow sort of, you know, plod, the Grunion plodding, you know, you're not really, you're not a spring chicken, you're more of a spring sloth, you know? And so that changes the quality of everything, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking about like if the age, they found some kind of regeneration or some kind of anti-aging thing. And then it's like these boomers will be stuck at the end of like you're in your later years and maybe you wouldn't want to stay around for another 100 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it will be like this choice point. And then I was going in reverse because I had this friend of mine who gave a home birth, and the placenta was, they wrapped the placenta up in this diaper and until the placenta fell off the baby's natural umbilicus. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty powerful ceremony, all this this natural stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that maybe have these placentas for these children, you know, that they're carrying around like pets and, you know, cremated pets or something. Or maybe they buried the placenta in the backyard. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about the past and that's holding you into some kind of reverse of whatever that is, that's like forever connected.
Yeah.
But you're right in the fact that that so many times we can get trapped in our past things, and that limits how we perceive the now and how we move into the future. And I almost wonder if that's tied to what we're talking about as far as we get older. There's almost a natural inherent reason that maybe somewhere deep down we do want to wipe that experiential slate clean again, you know, and have that novelty and you know, just coming again, because I've had at least two of my grandparents just get to that point, and you know, we could wonder if they had, you know, full health and mobility, but both my grandfathers is basically who it was, expressed the sentiment towards the end of their lives that not that they were sad about it or that it was morbid, it was just like it was boring. They were fine with their life, but there was no excitement. These general sentiments, right? My grandfather on my mother's side, like he basically said, I get up, I eat, I watch TV. He said, "This is, I'm over it," is kind of what he was saying. And I understand that because there's no novelty there. There's no excitement there.
Yeah, it's
Now, if he
Alzheimer's.
was still in a younger body, right? But at the same time, like you're talking about puberty, right? And we're talking about that. The experiences still wouldn't be new, right? You wouldn't never have, you wouldn't know what it's like to see snow for the first time, right? You can never do that again.
Yeah. 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 The only thing I could see maybe if you consider that the internet is sort of this imagination engine that's still kind of coming online,
Mhm.
it makes you wonder if life expectancy would change because of precisely what you're talking about, Brad. The ability to still pursue novelty without breaking your hip, without having to wander
Yeah.
downstairs, without having to, and of course, then you're entering into a body state though that's just pure atrophy, So your muscles and all the other stuff, and that really is more plugged into our consciousness than we think. So I'm sort of talking myself out of this right now, but it's nice to think about. But it does seem like our body is so much more important as a part of our engine, and the fact that we even grow longer. We, when you look at our skull as you grow older, the skull does something really interesting. It layers on top of itself. It's like
And when you say layers, what do you mean?
so it's like your bone has been dipped in liquid bone and then pulled out, or like wax. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you pull it out, it has a wax layer. But that layer is new bone, and it grows on top of itself, and it grows out to the sides. So one aspect of this is it only grows out to the sides just because of the shape of your skull. Your skull has side shapes to it. So it ends up looking like your face gets wider as you grow older because it does. And so this really is more part of how you would process the world. You would need to be in a visage, i.e. a skull, a face, that matches the vibration of how you want to experience the world. Because you experiencing the room as a 5-year-old versus you experiencing the room as a 50-year-old, those are completely different experiences, aren't they? You would have no way of being able to have the same kind of interaction in the same room as a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old would. I swear to you, you would not. You would not be
Oh,
treated
yeah.
the same. You would not be able to see the same vistas, the same perspectives. Your concerns would be different. What you found satisfying when it came to texture, sound, other people would change. So you're in the same environment, but you're having a completely different reality. And why? Because your bone antenna is 50 years old. Your bone antenna has been spun to that ability. So you're going to have a much more textured social interaction versus the 5-year-old's going to have a much more textured environmental interaction, if this makes sense. Because
absolutely.
you've been refined
Like
in
you
certain
talked about.
ways. Yeah.
The thinner skull almost makes them more susceptible to the environment, whereas maybe as we get
Yeah,
older,
maybe
we
so.
become more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
More in
even
a,
at 5 years old, you haven't individuated yet. So you're not
that's what
even
I'm saying.
an
Yeah.
eye yet. You're not even an
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
Your brain's not developed. So
there's more
you're
water.
you're just like a cell in the environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have less
Soaking it
salt.
up.
You
Yeah.
get much more
Soaking it
water
up.
in your body. Your
Yeah.
your antenna's shorter. Most of your bone is still soft even.
Yep.
Right? So yeah,
Mhm.
totally. You're a wet antenna at that point.
This is probably not related, but it made me think of when you were talking about it, though, James. It almost like we're a wick, and over time, we're dipped in wax, and the candle builds and builds and builds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, that's why when we're old, right, as we live through these experiences, these lives, and all this kind of thing, our candle probably burns a little differently because there is more of a candle there. Which is why if you talk to a 5-year-old, they're only going to be able to express the experience in a very limited state. Whereas when you've had all these 16,000 experiences and all this, what we would call sort of the wisdom of the elders, or this, that's just it. That candle is now can burn. It's a bigger candle, thicker candle, because it has a lot more there experience wise that it's drawing off of. but it still does come up against the conversation we're having here as to the natural order of the body, and again, the idea of it living forever in this omniscient state. Again, when we talked about omniscience before, yeah, if you knew everything, if you had total omniscience, it's kind of easy now. Like as a kid, it didn't seem that way, but now I can understand how that would be almost horrible, to have no novelty, to have no mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like that in and of itself is stagnation in a sense.
You know, it's tripping me out even thinking about how. So not only do you have a 5-year-old antenna and a 50-year-old antenna, and they're in the same ballroom and they're having a completely different experience, but then that same ballroom in 1856 is a completely different experience than it is in 1948.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So you have two different, everything is so amazingly multi-layered that you can have one space occupying all of that information at the same time. Do you see what I mean? Like the environment has all that information just like your body does. And
then you have a 5-year-old inside the 50-year-old.
Yeah, because you can
So
move
then
your
you go-
cursor into
You
that
go
different.
back, you go back into that cursor where you were 5,
Yep.
and go into the memory, and you're there.
Yep. What if this is actually how so if you convince your cells that you want, that all the cells need to hallucinate that they are going to be reborn, and the way that you would convince your cells to all hallucinate the same is you would have to promise them something really pleasurable, like sex, right? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I've just shown us how, hey, this is, I know how we can live forever, how we live forever. Okay, this is going to sound kind of weird, but hear me out, okay?
And your cells are listening.
I'm going to convince all my cells that we're going to do something that's going to feel really good. And so they're all going to agree. First, we have to take one of our cells and we have to say, hey, man, we need to cut out half of you and it can't be there anymore. But you need to like make this a natural thing. So you need to agree. And then the cell's like, oh, okay. So what do you want me to call me, a sperm now? Yeah, you're a sperm. Okay. All right, fine. And you over there, you need to be an egg cell. You need to get rid of this other thing over here. Now you've got these things that really want something. And now you've convinced all the body, hey, you're going to feel really good if you go in here, play a little Lionel Richie. You know what I'm saying?
Barry White.
What you want to do is what you want to do is you want to have a prom, okay? First you need to invent a high school. Then you need to invent this thing called prom, okay? And you're going to go to that prom. You're going to get what's called a corsage, okay? Now you're basically set, okay? She's going to have to say it. Trust me, this is all it takes, okay? Now you got the corsage. Now your body, all your cells are going to believe that this is actually possible and that this is actually going to happen. And this is how you live forever. You're going to have to cellularly hallucinate and put all of your information into this one cell, this sperm cell. So it knows what you want to carry with you, because you can't go through the transport. Look, guys, it's Terminator rules. If you want to go through the teleporter, you can't wear clothes, okay? I know it sounds perverted, but that's the way it is, okay? And if you want to go through the other side, you just have to put all the stuff you want to take inside the sperm.
I think I'm going to go biblical. This is like the eye of the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't take anything with you.
It's like, isn't that the nature though of the idea? Because when you're talking about the eye of the needle, it's just making me think what a lot of people gravitate to in terms of religion and in a lot of ways is that fear of death. So it's this eternal life. But what we're talking about here is understanding the eternal life on a deeper level, right?
Yeah. Well,
not on the level of, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's understanding from the bigger perspective.
It's an inside job, you know? It's like, so everything, all systems, if you understand one system, you understand all systems.
Wait. You just said the universe is an inside job? Is that what you're
Yeah, it is. It's an inside job.
Oh my God, that's beautiful, Lori.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because if like you understand like a motor, you would understand how your body works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you understand your body, then you understand how the universe works.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to go to the basic building blocks on how creation happens, and then that would have to be the biblical story.
Totally.
everlasting life.
Yep.
I think it's just profound.
As above, so below. As within, so without.
And then if all your cells are listening, then if you be the master of the universe by mastering your cells.
Yes. Yes.
That's profound.
I agree. I think this is how we're tuned younger even. We're tuned at a young age to hallucinate in a certain way, to be rewarded in a certain way, to feel deserving with certain things, to feel like we have too much and we should lose it in other ways. And all this is just our hallucination. And that's profound to think about how you can reprogram your hallucination, how you could change your vibrational state through cellularly believing something differently, and to imagine it as being that kind of work, that kind of process to invoke a new posture, is to think about it that way. I need to get my kneecaps to believe in this new way of thinking. That kind of stuff.
It's interesting you put it that way, because here's the way I think about, for example, Jesus, for example, right? To me, it's not as important whether I imagine him as a real person and the other. What's more impactful is my belief in that energy, what I'm telling my cells, what that does to me by believing in that archetype. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whether or not there was a dude doesn't even matter as much, but what it affects in me as to what I then use my placebo to generate.
Yes.
And so
that's the gnosis or the Gnostics or the text that the church doesn't want you to have, that's inside of you.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I think that's what the dogma is about. I think the dogma is about convincing you, again, to look at it as a thing and not understand what it's actually trying to maybe generate or for you to generate in you by the belief that you're putting. Yeah. So a lot of times people are sitting there looking at a picture or a crucifix or this, and they're projecting all of this belief out onto this image without ever really understanding what that energetically is inside of them in terms of thinking you know what I'm saying.
It's a lot like a dog in the sense of like look, I put the cheese right there, and so you're pointing at the cheese, right? And you're just like, you're so cute, guy. Look, I'm pointing, and he's just like, look, I don't want to bite your finger. And you're like, I'm not offering you my finger. I'm pointing. It's 4 inches away from the. Come on, you can see the cheese. You can see the cheese. You love cheese. I swear, if I touch this, you love cheese. And you're like, I just don't know what this has to do with the finger. And it's just like that, Brad, because we get lost on the furniture all the time.
Right.
And all we really need.
Finger pointing away to the moon.
Exactly.
Don't get lost on the finger or you'll miss all that heavenly glory.
Yes, exactly. So this is, I think, where the Jesus thing comes in. It's such a powerful archetype, especially if you know where the finger is actually pointing.
Yes.
Which comes down to, what does it change cellularly?
Yes.
How are your cells thinking differently now because of that?
We go to a place called the Grotto sometimes, and it's a Catholic church in downtown Portland, in this really beautiful grotto, this hillside, this opening. So there's a Christmas gathering there. So I would take the kids when they were little, and they didn't go to church. I was raised Mormon, but they didn't attend any church. But we'd go there, and you see Jesus crucified, and they're like, "What the hell is going on here?" Like, we're just looking at this. There's like blood there. She's like, I'm kind of freaked out.
Oh yeah, no,
I was like, she was just I go, I know. Yeah, I go, isn't that crazy? But it's kind of like, hey, everybody, like, you could be like me. Come on, this is the way. They're like,
you're not selling it. You're not selling it.
We're like, we're not going to level up, man. So we got to kill you. We got to kill you. You can't quite level up.
I tell you.
And you did die for our sins, because we got to look at you. And you did die for us because you couldn't level up. We couldn't level up at that time, in that the beginning of the Piscean era.
God. And
now we're in the Aquarius 2000s, man. This is the range.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there would be a new archetype in like a new one that takes over that? You know what I mean?
Well,
Do you
it's
think?
going to be the real one, which is that Christ is within you. It's in your blood.
Totally.
It's in your it's in your cells. So it's interesting that you said that, Renee, because this three-eye atlas thing, it's
Uh-huh.
going to like do this weird conjunction at like this time when the Cathars were all like murdered. I don't know what the
Yeah.
date was, but it's like all of this, like the true teachings of the true Christ was like, they started the Spanish Inquisition and they started the Crusades and they killed anyone that was like going with anyone that went within. They just like, oh, off, you got to die.
Yeah.
And they
Onto a
all,
spike.
well, actually they had to be burned in order to really, if there was something about you would have to burn.
Yeah.
Bones.
Yeah, there was something about burning. And I was just kind of thinking about Spain. I walked across Spain. And I walked the Camino. And you want to talk about blood? I have never seen more bloody Jesuses. They have the most graphic bloody Jesuses in all the churches. I was like, it's still there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's still there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Telling you that the Christ is in the blood.
Yes. Well,
And
and
it is.
supposedly that if he was on the cross and then the blood went down and it's like Golgotha, right?
Yeah.
It went into the earth.
Yeah, totally. So did
It
your
was like-
semen. So did your semen, because they were humping
Yeah.
on that. Yeah, they were humping on that rock too.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's some
I mean,
sacred
but
stuff,
that's
man.
the biology.
That's why
that's
I've-
the biology of creation.
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you, man. The people that possess that territory, they don't want to let go of that.
Nope.
They don't want to let go of that. That's a lot of humping, man. That's a lot of blood humping. A lot of blood humping going in that.
That's
thing
a
there.
lot of
Yeah.
blood sacrifice, I tell you.
Yeah.
It's a big investment. Big investment.
Isn't that the nature
Yeah.
of trying to control
Save for last.
and control the blood, right? That's what all the blood sacrifices almost seem like, is trying to control the blood and what we do with ourselves with the blood in our bodies, right? How we tune ourselves.
Well, and it's like Catholic Church is like making the blood wine in the body of Christ. They're doing that as a, and it's a powerful ritual. And so it's like, when we realize that that's inside of us, I think that's when, the paradigm's going to shift. And I think it's Aquarian.
Back
sure.
in the Cathars, this is sort of a jump back of something, but I don't know if people know this. A lot of people were fighting over how they were venerated. And so if you were rich, you would pay the church to venerate your favorite saint. And the church was more likely to venerate your appointed saint if he had suffered a great injustice on behalf of his faith.
Oh,
And it ended up turning into a sort of kamikaze kind of, mission where people would, even though they dedicated their life to the church, they feel that they did not earn a setting, a place on the place of the saints, even though they did more. So they would either make up stories about something that happened to them, or they would actually try and make sure something like that would happen to them. That the martyrdom of that became most of the drive behind the church itself, which I think goes back to the pre-Paulian church that I talk about, that 200 BC to 300 AD zone of an intense near-death experience cult.
yep.
Masquerading as a proto-religion, because religion hadn't even been invented yet. And it was only the intensity of that experience that made it into a powerful enough formula to be called a church, to rule as long as it it has. So it's all based on the intensity of the archetype again, kind of like pointing at the cheese. It's not really about, it's not necessarily about her name has to be Mary, although it actually does if we don't get lost in that. But it's like, it's more about what is it doing to you? And what it is it's creating the I am. It's creating the je suis in you. It's creating the, oh my God, you died for my sins. I'm a piece of shit. Then, oh my God, I guess I'm worthy, but now I have to do better because you fucking died and you're such a great guy. And, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. And then that kind of makes you behave better. And then you get to a certain level where you're like, well, fuck the world. The world's fucked up, and that guy's Falwell. Look at what he's doing to the kids, and fuck, and what's happening, man? Jesus is right there. It's like, I know, man. Right? Look at those fucks. I know. Remember that? Remember me turning over the tables? I know, man. I know, dude. I literally was crucified. You're looking at the wrong guy. I fucking know. I know who these fucks are too. And so all the time, no matter where you go, Jesus is right there. I swear, guys, he's right there every fucking time. You want to start a grunge band and sell cheese in the parking lot? Jesus is right the fuck there. He's literally in the grilled cheese, like in the bread itself. He's such a beautiful archetype because he always fits everywhere, even in future shock. Like if you go into technocracy, right? And like the future self, even Ubermensch, all of your Nietzsche stuff, you know, it's such a great archetype. Really is. So's Mary. It really. Yep. Just hats off. Sacred Horror. God, freaking love that archetype too. You could not. The whole world is intertwined in these things. It's really amazing.
It's really beautiful, isn't it?
Jesus.
I
mean, really, we're really saying Jesus. It's like, yeah, you guys, this whole time. Jeez, us. You know. Yep. You gotta go get that flame.
The gravity of us is Jesus.
And
it's always right there, you guys. It's always just right there.
But that was like a name change, you know. The name in Aramaic is Yahushua HaMashiach. And then Yahuwah is God, the name of God in the Aramaic.
That's hilarious.
So all the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Sounds like a Jungle Book song.
No, that's perfect. It's supposed to be that way. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yahushua HaMashiach. It meant the I don't know what it means, but Yahushua HaMashiach. Yeah, it's a beautiful.
You're gonna pay for our sins. Yeah, we're gonna hang you on a tree. Yeah, we do that still. You know, we do that all the time.
Like, it's just the time of year. We're in that December month. You know.
Yeah.
It's like it's merry and bright. Busy, busy, busy.
Yep.
Well, it keeps driving. That's what's cool too about it is as we're saying that it keeps driving us forward, right? And it goes back to what we're saying about the stagnation of the novelty and all that sort of stuff. It's like the main point is if it's driving you forward, right? Like you're saying, right, James? You go through all these phases where it's like you don't have shame, then you do have shame, and then you become the I am and all this. It's really the force that just keeps driving you forward, right? That keeps keeping you wanting to keep pursuing that, right? Which is the opposite of stagnation, which again is what seems like more death in the sense of like movement, right? If you're not being propelled to move forward, if you don't want to hump that rock anymore, you lose a sense of sort of.
Oh yeah, Brad. We got to do a sketch like that about Grog. I don't want to hump the rock anymore. What do you mean you don't want to hump the rock? Come on, what are you talking about, dude? Come on, come hump the rock. You'll feel better, dude. It's all we do is hump the rock. Then we kill people because they don't let us. They're trying to hump the rock when we're trying to hump the rock. What's it all for, Grog? What's it all for? It's like, dude, don't ask questions. Just hump the rock.
Don't think. Just hump.
There's like this, you've talked a lot of your stuff, James, about the cult of the Virgin and, it hurts when I pee stuff. And I was thinking about that sacred Kundalini and the rising and the chimney and the colostrum and the honey and the meeting of the fluids and that abstinence. And this time of year is like really, it's a sacred time of year. And it's like if we really knew what the calendars were and we knew what the moon cycles were and the sun cycles and what our cycles in our bodies are, we'd be running these, these Kundalini current to get into this, blissful kind of states in our body.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe we would be humping rocks, but we would maybe having a bliss experience instead of,
Yeah, we'd be vibrating on top of rocks.
Exactly.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, are we changing the rock by humping it, or is it changing us by letting us hump it?
Yeah. Is the rock,
I don't know, boys. What do you think?
In Russia, the rock humps you. No, in Israel, the rock humps you. Yeah.
You only thought you were humping the rock.
Oh, boys.
Yeah.
Maybe girls hump rocks too.
Well, 4,000 phalluses cannot be wrong. Found in the bottom of a Roman urinal cannot be wrong. So, yeah.
We just got a different puzzle piece. But yeah, the rock thing. Yeah, I have to say I don't quite, don't have one, never done it. But it's a curious thing to consider that is such a place of worship for a group of penises to attend.
Yeah, boys will be boys,
Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we can't even take it off.
The pen is, let's sign this rock.
Hey, at least you knew where everyone was.
Yeah, you have. It's all outside. You have to know what's going on out there.
Yeah, you know where everyone is, and that's helpful. It's like, hey, where are the guys? They're probably humping the rock down there. Oh, which rock? Well, in the spring they like to hump this rock, and then sometimes they like to travel the El Camino, and then they go hump this other rock. But then they always come back. They always come back to this rock and hump this rock, and so yeah, and the whole time rocks are like, what did we do wrong? We were brought to this earth with no legs, and we're getting sexually assaulted by all these guys all the time.
Can't even run away.
Well, there's that dairy across the way where they're churning butter. What do you expect, Rock's location situation?
Yeah.
If they're not humping it, they're peeing on it.
I know. It's we have a lot to do,
People are like, what is this show?
It went down to the potty.
But
Hey, you never know what to expect on Turtle Island Saturday Live.
I know. We're getting to the fertility secrets here of vibrational rock. So,
but I like how we talk about the fact that drive is kind of that life drive that drives you forward. And I just bring this back up because the fact that, like a lot of times we can have this shame around sex and our desires in this kind of way. But just speaking from sort of my personal experience, just in my time, it's like going through sort of the phases of kind of being, the world sucks in this kind of way. And you can connect it to that, maybe that sexual energy if you want. But the idea that life can become listless if you don't have sort of something drawing you into it. And the reason I say that is because in my experience, whenever I am, let's say I just have a crush, right? Or I'm kind of turned on in a way, and it doesn't have to be sexual. You do know what I'm saying. It's like just turned on in an energetic way.
Totally, yeah.
But if you're not turned on in an energetic way, life, you start to become listless. Life has less. And so that drive that makes you excited, and a lot of that is that's that sexual primal energy that makes us excited about life. And that's sort of an interesting way that it's driving consciousness forward. Like we're talking about how you go through the abstinence stage and this, that, and the other, and the shame that comes around with it. But a lot of it is finding that place where we're not fighting that natural urge that's really driving life. Because again, isn't that what we're talking about makes life sort of eternal in that sense? It's that drive that keeps life going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's that primal drive to experience. Maybe we can just put it that way, that your energy comes online or gets excited by that experience. And so to struggle with that shame or feel like, oh, I should be an aesthetic, I should have no desires in the world, right?
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. That's a big popular one.
And for me, that did not, like, that started, like, I don't want to say it didn't have positive impact, right? Like they're real positive things to sort of uh, uh, think about it, or to I don't know if I'd say conceptualize what our experience is, but that the idea of withdrawing from the world, which has been a popular sort of thing, as being somehow rising above it, it's kind of like that's really a way of trying to disassociate from life. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the purest form of trying to disassociate,
Yeah.
which in a
And that would actually come online if you were in a state where you're like, oh God, I'm having too much sex. I'm drinking all the time. All we do in Rome is just hump rocks all day. And then,
Overeat and throw up.
yeah, and so then you need a stoic ism, don't you, Brad? And so then you have that stoicism. Then you start to look at your architecture and like, guys, why does our building suck ass so much? It's like, cause we fucking stoicized ourselves too much. Now we need to go the other way. And it's like, well, how do we get there? And it's like, you're just gonna have to go grunge and gonna hippie. You're just gonna hippie grunge your way out of it. And society's like, come on, man, we can do better. Because this, we got to go steampunk. How are we going to steampunk with this? Because we got a lot of people that are just like, no, we don't want levity engines. We don't want karma drives. We don't want any of that shit. We want old dead dinosaurs, coal, people who go into coal mines that come out and go, oh, I fucking hate my job, but oh, God bless America. It's like, that's all we want, There's a lot to that. And honestly, I was watching a coal miner today talk about stuff, and it's like, that's, who am I to say that's not a life, Who am I to say that's the wrong way to go? Because ultimately, he feels really important. He feels really special. He considers himself a part of something very, very important and special in the world. And he doesn't want anything more.
Like more important or primal, just for someone to feel like there's that there's a connection to their own reason for living or being, whatever. So it really comes down to whatever drives the person to want to keep existing. Well, isn't that the thing? If you don't have a desire to keep living, that's just,
it's weird because when you follow this out to the nth degree, Brad, what I see happening is that ultimately I came in this world with the understanding that, hey, any of you guys are allowed to try and kill me. Like, any of you are allowed to do that. And as long as we have that rule, then some of you guys get to be soldiers. Some of you guys get to be champions that are like, getting rid of pedophiles and like getting rid of like bad people. Some of you guys are like, let's bomb fucking fishing boats because I want to feel, what it's like to kill someone and get away with it. We have these people everywhere. They're still out there right now. There will be more born tomorrow. And when you start to think about it in that way, I don't know if we fully have a fair enough grasp over life itself because we are born into that matrix and we're kind of feel like it's unfair if someone kills us. I know this sounds fucked, but if you can just imagine that life is dodgeball.
Mm-hmm.
And you came here to play and then someone hits you and you're just so upset you can't believe that this was never, no one told you this was possible. This isn't fair. We need to call someone. Someone ought to do something. There needs to be a law.
Someone ought to sterilize this place, right?
I'm just saying, and I get it. I'm this way. I'm not trying to say we should change, but we do not have enough triviality to understand life, I think, fully. And I'm okay with it. But if you notice what's happening in the world with the way everything's becoming surreal, it's making us more trivial.
Yep.
And I'm not convinced that's necessarily an evil thing. I think it's terrifying. And I think it's ominous. And I think it's only a place where certain magicians should go. And the only way you could go there is if you understood that I came here knowing that anyone could try and kill me.
Yep.
It's the only way to have an experience in this world where you feel that you are not being treated unfair. Does this make sense?
Well,
It
James,
totally
you
does.
did this thing about, I think it was on Dojo, and about men and how men need to have this experience. And I was really kind of pondering that. And the experience is like a vigilante. If there's like a wrongness going on in your
Yeah.
community, you have this right to get a tribe together and have this person is a predator, and we're going to have a court of justice in a, I don't know how you'd prove that it happened. You'd have to have someone see it or something. But yeah, and then so you've been taken, that's all been taken away. And now there's all these rules. And then you have to have a juror of 12. And then you have like, I don't know how anyone ever gets convicted. But then you have all these people in jail that are not even like guilty, that are on death penalties. You have all this crazy, crazy stuff. And then you're like playing this game.
Yep.
And you're right. So I just had this friend call and said that the 17-year-old grandson has this rage problem. So it's a really entitled kid, like really expensive house, like had anything he wanted. And now they don't know what to do with him. He's got this rage, and he's like driving around and like having like accidents. He's like out to kill somebody.
Wow.
Including himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the society that you're right, James. It's like popping. It's like people don't know what to do with this lack of something. I don't know what it is, but it's just definitely like I'm seeing it. It's like, yeah, it's not just somebody could kill you. People are having rage. Like,
It reminds me of Lori's I think Freud's was a Thantos or Thanta, or his idea that we have sort of an ingrained compulsion to sort of push the limits. And he was talking about, like, for example, like if you're standing on a high ledge, there's something deep in us that there's an aspect that kind of wants to jump.
me
Like
too.
not
I
out
love
of
that
not
one.
out of a suicidal way, right?
Yeah,
But
I
there's
have
just
that one. Yeah.
But right, there's something deep in us that wants to
Annihilate yourself.
right. Yeah. Deep down, it's crazy, but it seems like there's some truth to it, because I know I experienced it from standing on a high balcony when I stayed in New York. We visited New York, and standing out on that balcony made me feel really weird. I'm not afraid of heights, but you know how if you're on a mountain, it's different than if you're on a balcony on a high rise, and it's like you're talking about an inch right there, and it's just straight down. And it's just weird because I'm not suicidal at all, but it's just this thing where it's like,
Well, you
it would be
imagine
so
yourself
easy.
falling off. Yeah.
Yeah, but not falling as much as jumping. Does that make sense? Where it's not
Yep.
like suicidal. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like it's just right there.
Yeah, it really shows you, I think, how the critical mind actually works, though, because part of you would have to be invested in jumping so that it could live through the regrets that you would have. And those regrets are what's guiding you. This is why, remember I was telling you, you're living in sort of the future past, because you're in the past 500 milliseconds, but you're also casting 500 milliseconds ahead of that. and you're trying to quantumly say, well, what if I jump? Oh my God. So out of all the things that I should not do, the thing that came back limbically with the most fear and dread and oomph was jumping. And this is what I think is actually happening, is you're living every single possibility. This is why frames per second is so important. If you have more calories, you can compassionate. This person's going to do one of two things, or this person's going to do one of 7 things, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And so if you think about who you are as a person, really you're just a caloric intake. And if you can compassionate yourself more, you're going to seem to be wiser, because you're looking at, hey, one of the 36,000 things I could do is jump. Let's not do that.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you think about what makes it to the top, it's always limbic, isn't it? It's always, what was the feeling that is either, hey man, if you go here, you're going to touch boob, or if you go here, you're going to die because you're going to fall off this building. Those two things are you're going to have this cinnamon roll, right? These are all limbically higher powered events. And so you're living all these in your future past all the time. And you're really only choosing the possibilities, the doorways, right? Like the doors of perception in your mind of which one has the most appeal to your survivalism and to your comfort going forward.
And when you mentioned the limbic aspect of that, isn't that why, like you say, I'm going to touch a boob or I'm going to jump, like those experiences that are limbically tied hit way deeper than our sort of everyday mundane, you sitting there watching the TV or you're safe this kind of way. Yeah, those
salacious is the only thing that we remember. Isn't this really what novelty is, Brad? Think about it. Yeah. Novelty is just what's different. And if nothing's ever changed, nothing at all has changed. You have 1,000 by 1,000 pixel screen. Let's call that your input of your entire life. And out of the 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, if one day one of those 1,000 pixels changed to just a slightly less white shade of pixels, that would be novelty. You would be blown away when that happened. Do you see what I mean? Like you'd be blown away because you've had 10,000 years of it being nothing but no pixels change. This is, I think, a better model to understand how psychologically we store things, but also how we call things true. Because what we call things true is, can we recall things? And the things that we can recall are only going to be limbically reachable. And so it really comes down to this pattern set, which is why your PTSD is going to fuck up your memory, your natural saturation, your inability to sense slight changes in white, for example, would render that impossible for you to see. So you end up becoming blind in the world. So it's all about limbic voltage. I think that's probably the best way to understand it. All of reality is a limbic voltage to a matrix. In other words, a matrix is a really simple thing. It's just a 3 or 4 or 5 dimensional like spreadsheet. That's really all it is. And so one of the other dimensions would be time, and the other dimension would be physicality, would be space itself. So you have coordinates, then you have the physicality of the world, but then you have your conscious locality too. Am I a 5-year-old in this ballroom? Am I a 50-year-old in this ballroom? So all these things are applying into the same matrix. You get to change your belief, your cellular belief changes what your matrix looks like to you, because I think you end up phasing into that location by imagining all your cells believing that way.
See, that's why that Thantos or whatever it was, that Freud thing I was talking about, makes so much sense to me, is because it makes so much sense that as an aspect of that's why that drive would be there, is because it's that craving for that limbic connection.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, that ho-hum, oh, I don't feel anything. It's like, so that's why that desire would so naturally be in there.
Yep.
I want to feel something. And we know deep down, subconsciously, probably that limbic experience is what makes it all feel so much.
Yeah. And such a huge pull to limbic experience, I think, is social familiarity. That it's one thing if you notice that one of these pixels changes color, but it's quite another thing if you notice that and no one else has noticed that before, but you noticing that caused them to see it. This turns that into, oh my God, is this whole casino of other things that really have nothing to do with your limbic experience anymore. I'm sorry, have nothing to do with actually what you're experiencing. It more has to do with how is society going to respond to you experiencing. And I think ultimately this is why I talk about mind control, because ultimately it's here. What I just said, that's where the mind control is. The mind control is that socially, am I allowed to see a flying fucking saucer if I look up in the sky? And there's only a few certain percentage of people that you're going to be allowed to see that with. Same with Bigfoot, same with fairies, same with all the stuff, right?
I want to hang out with those people.
Exactly. This is part of the mass objectivism is sort of like a field, a collectivism field that's making everyone symbiotic, making everyone conform to a central reality.
Right.
And ultimately, you're being pulled into that like a galactic center.
I had this experience. It was so weird. I went to this music event, and it was like world famous musician playing with this really amazing harmonica player. And I never heard a harmonica like that. But the guy just was like so ingrained with this famous harmonica player, and he had all the stories and he had all of the details of the history and the blues, and he was bound in it. He was bound in this music genre. And it was like the weirdest experience to experience it, but not, I'm the one that sees UFOs, but they would never see a UFO because they're bound in the 1920s jazz blues.
Yep.
They're bound there.
Yep.
In this history of this bound time. Did that make sense? It's kind of like going back
I think
to the
we're
time
woven.
thing.
Yeah, I think we're woven into the fabric of this place.
Yeah.
And that's part of the symbiosis, the galactic center of it all, the gravity, right?
Wow.
The weak force. The ultimate force is actually called the weak force. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But the ultimate force is that idea, you know. And,
It was just so weird because I felt like I was invisible there. And yet I was like, all of my limbic senses were like actually involved, but I didn't have any of my past with me.
yeah.
All the times I had, it's just so interesting to be like a time lord, to not be, to enjoy the moment, the limbic moment of it.
Uh-huh.
My ears were hearing different. My smell was smelling different. Because I wasn't bound by the time of the past and all the other times or whatever I've heard before. It was like I was hearing for the first time.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I went up to the guy and I said, I've never heard anyone play a harmonica like that. I think it's because I've changed.
Yeah.
Or my aperture's changed or something's happened.
Well, that's why they say art is in the perception of the beholder, right? I mean, you've got the two parties there, but the great art, for the most part, I think, doesn't try and dictate what the observer gets out of it, right? They're expressing what they do, but the for the most part, the purest form is it's it's about the observer and what they take from it.
Exactly.
This is exactly what I was getting at, but from a very different angle earlier when I was talking about the. It's one thing for you to be limbically moved by something, but it's quite another to have the social rewards or curses for you to be limbically moved by a certain thing, and I call that mind control. But if you think about art is a perfect example of this, because when I was in college, I felt so much prana from the fine arts building, like going in there. I wasn't an art major. I don't even think I felt worthy to be an art major, if this makes sense. But I tried to do as many art classes as I could through my electives and stuff. And it was the prana that I felt. And that prana I felt, I think, was more the social field. The field of, hey, we're the cool guys, like just by decree, we're the fine artists. So we get to have a say-so through juried shows over what we think art is. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I remember in college being moved by that art, like seriously, like the things that they would have, I'd be like, wow, that's fucking profound, or that's really deep and shit. And it was, I don't remember it being false. I definitely know growing up, I would see different things and I would start to go, I don't know if that's art. But I think that younger, I was more defining art by the social field, Brad, by the power of the social field was able to imbue me with it. And then as I became myself, the first thing I had to do was say, hey, I think that art's shit. Like that was literally the first thing I had to do in order to find that myself. Then I was able to build my own aesthetic. And only then was I able to recognize my own aesthetic inside of the fine arts field that originally was haunted by the social lifeless hyena pressure, right? So you leave and you come back to the same place, right? But it's just a different harmonic of understanding, a different layer of the onion.
Yeah. And then I had this really weird thing happen because I was in this band with this woman who played the harmonica. And she's like, I played the harmonica. And I'm like, but I've never heard harmonica like this. She said, well, the band that we were in sucks. They never gave it the timing to the harmonica. And I was like, yeah, that's what that guy said, that the way that they play together is that they're giving space for the music. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even remember being in that band. And I don't remember. And I'm like, I said, are you really comparing yourself to this guy, this harmonica player who's playing with this world-renowned musician? I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I feel like I've gone insane. In the social situation, I'm having like these novel experiences, like I'm from another planet. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's you phasing into the other planet.
Is that weird? Yeah.
You got some extraterrestrial going on. Hey guys, we are landing this ship. We're coming up on half the hour.
Thank you, Renee.
And thanks everybody for joining us.
It's been a great ride. I've got to get out and hump my rocks, so it's a good time to go.
Keeping that time, Renee. Thanks.
Yeah, hump a rock for Jesus, everyone. Hump a rock for Jesus. Love you guys. Really enjoyed the ride.
Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us tonight. If you want to hit subscribe, if you want to hit like, appreciate you.